Hello everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. Hope you've all been doing extremely well. It is a pleasure to be here with you now. If you are not familiar with this YouTube channel, what I do on here is I cover different esoteric research subjects. We talk about Kabbalah, Freemasonry, the Tree of Life, and a multitude of other subjects. I was going to cover this book, The Masonic Magician, about Count Cagliostro, but I'm going to have to compile some more notes before I can give you guys a decent presentation of that book. I've kind of skipped to the part in the book where it talks about Egyptian Freemasonry itself, the certain rite or set of degrees which Cagliostro made himself. Well, it's based on older teachings. It's based on older mystery school stuff, Egyptian stuff, and it's kind of encoded with a lot of Christian symbolism. Very, very heavy and angelic magic. That's a lot of what his degrees are about. So I think that's going to be a fascinating subject to get into, but I want to be a little more organized before I do that presentation. So I need more time with that to write some notes. In the meantime, I did want to talk about some tarot cards a little bit. I haven't covered tarot since like the beginning of my YouTube channel, back when I started it in like 2021. So, and the tarot cards are important, you know, they always come up in any of the research that I'm doing, whether it's Masonic books or Kabbalistic books, you know, literature, you're going to come across the tarot cards. So it's important to know the symbolism of the tarot cards. And I used to work with tarot a lot more. You know, I was kind of going over my magical diaries a little bit the other day. See, here's one right here. I used to be, you know, really on top of all this stuff. I would meditate every single day, usually at least an hour. I would work with a tarot card. I would write like the phase of the moon and all that sort of stuff. As you can see, there's a lot that I wrote in here. This is like covers several years, and then I have another notebook as well. So yeah, that was back when I was, you know, I was doing my practices all the time and really getting into the energetic components of, you know, walking the path and getting to know the self. I just haven't had as much time for that as of late. But as soon as I can, especially with the warmer weather coming, I want to get outside and do some meditations and get back into that real strong. So, yep. But I used to be really on top of all that stuff. But anyway, enough of my rambling. So the tarot cards, the major arcana, of course, starts with the Fool. 0. 0 to me is emblematic of infinity. It could also be seen as the Ein, or the no thing, or the zero, the quote unquote zero. But remember that in 0 or in no thing lies all potentiality. So it's really all potential. This is the beginning of the journey. Anytime you open yourself up to the unknown, to, you know, a new undertaking in life, you know, he's walking off the cliff without even looking, trusting the guidance of the universe as he does so. So it does kind of point towards embracing the more feminine aspects of creation in that way, you know, kind of submitting to the unknown. The dog that's here barking at his feet, I don't really remember what that's emblematic of. It could be emblematic of kind of the distractions of life. Maybe it's a companion of some sort. Maybe the dog's trying to get him to, you know, not go off the edge. And he has a small load too. He's a light traveler. He doesn't have a lot to take with him. The blooming flower is probably emblematic of maybe just the divine presence or love. Might have some tie-in with Rosicrucianism, you know, Christ-type energy, potentially. There is the sun right there, the solar energy. So it's new life. It's bringing new life to his existence. and he's walking off the face of the cliff. Yeah, the dog, I'm not so sure exactly what the dog represents. So the negative side of this card is like being lavish and just, you know, being foolhardy and being a literal fool. But then the real masterful side of this card is, you know, my friend once said, you're supposed to be the master and the fool simultaneously. So you're both the whole time. You set aside your ego enough to be the fool or to be the one who may not completely know or understand everything yet. You know, this is all a learning process, so we're all here to learn and to grow. So kind of the letting go of that in a way to open ourselves up to new things. So that's just kind of a quick analysis of the Fool card. Like, that's really what it represents to me. It's pure potentiality, setting off, embarking on a new adventure. Really setting aside your ego and setting aside what I would consider the false ego and opening yourself up to new, really new life experiences, just new things in general, maybe new knowledge, previous ways of, newer ways of seeing things that you had not previously seen before. So let's get into the next card of the major arcana. The Magician card, and even the number 1 is phallic looking. You know, it's a vertical number, just a straight line. And this card has a lot of masculine energy associated with it. The Magician, he's got all the 4 elemental tools on the table: sword for air, wand for fire, cups for water, and pentacle for earth. Infinity is above his head, the crown, so he's got the crown activated. He's in touch with his higher self and infinite intelligence, infinite awareness, which is symbolized by this infinity sign. And he's doing the whole Baphomet, you know, as above, so below. And I know, you know, there's a strong implication to these kinds of, you know, gestures and stuff. They have a lot of power to them. I remember when I went to one of my first music festivals, I had seen a person who was just standing there with his finger pointing up and like kind of with his head bent like that and just pointing up towards the sky. And I was asking my friend, you know, he's like, there you go, there's magic already as soon as we're getting in here. And I was like, what is he doing? I know, you know, kind of the Hermetic connection with that. That's the as above. He's pointing to the sky, and he was looking for a miracle. He was looking to be miracled into a show. And when people put that energy, they realize the cause and effect. So if they put the intention out there into the universe, and then there might be some effect which takes place in the, you know, here on the material realm, Malkuth. And I'm sure that guy probably found a way into the show. But when you put the intention out there, it allows the universe to kind of come in and respond. So I thought that was cool. The fact that he was doing at least the as above part, he was pointing to the sky with his head bent, you know, and everybody has different spiritual backgrounds, spiritual traditions, but technically that was magic that I saw there, you know, as soon as I got there. All the flourishing, you know, the flowers, you know, growing as abundance of life and prosperity. So really using the tools and using the elements and using the self-will. This is willpower. This is, you know, he's got the wand. He's holding like a white baton or a white wand, it looks like. Not the same as the fire wand that's laying there, but just willpower and knowing that you are the source. You are the governor of your experience. So I think that kind of in a nutshell, just really quickly, like sums up, you know, my interpretation of the Magician card. The High Priestess. There's a lot of symbolism going on in this card right here. So she's basically like wisdom personified, from the way that I see it. This is the Divine Sophia, or the Shekinah. The Shekinah is often referenced in like mystical Christianity, things of that sort. Even Thomas Carlson talks about the Shekinah in his book, Kabbalah, Qliphoth, and Goetic Magic. So she's sitting between the 2 pillars as divine wisdom. She actually holds the Torah in her hand. The the quote-unquote divine law. The moon is at her feet, so there's a lot of lunar energy here. Even this interesting crown, it reminds me of the Archangel Gabriel of the sphere of Yesod. That Archangel Gabriel wears a moon tiara, which is kind of similar looking to this. So that energy there kind of reminds me of that. But this is actually an ancient depiction of, this is like an old like Mesopotamian, I think, or Sumerian like depiction of the sun, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the planets. I know I've seen that symbol in some of the Sumerian stuff. So if you know more about that, maybe it's the sun and the moon, or maybe it's Nibiru or something like that. Not totally sure on the symbolism, but it could also be seen as a globe in between two crescents as well. So, you know, just the geometrical significance of that, of a circle inside of these two, you know, halvesies right here, this crest, supporting the wisdom on top of her head. You've got the cross here, which is the 4 elements, you know, the 4 cardinal directions. The cross has a multitude of more meanings than that. That's a huge symbol, you know, could do a whole video on just the cross alone. There's pomegranates, it looks like, in here. And as we know in Freemasonry, there's a lot of symbolism to do with the pomegranates, representing, you know, like plenty and being fruitful. And the 2 pillars, of course. With Boaz, it's showing us Boaz being on the left and Jachin on the right. You know, which is traditionally what an initiate would be taught. But for me, when I'm facing the front of the Tree of Life, I envision, when I'm working with the pillars and the Tree of Life, that when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the pillar of mercy on my left and the pillar of severity on the right. So it would actually be flipped from this position. These pillars would be reversed. These would be the pillars if you're like inside the temple looking outside, rather than you looking into or walking into the temple. Then Jachin would be on the left, from what I understand anyway. That's what my knowledge has brought me to, and learning from other people. So yeah, just divine wisdom. You know, it's divine wisdom. It's always personified as, you know, feminine. Sophia, a lot of men used to worship quote unquote wisdom. And then of course it's the 2 cards, so you already have the pillars there and the number symbolism as well. So that's a real quick analysis of what the High Priestess represents. When I used to do my daily tarot contemplation ritual, I would do that typically after I would do a banishing. And with each card, or whatever card I was working with that particular day, I would take the tarot card and I would hold it to my forehead, my third eye, and I would actually envision myself, you know, going into the energy of the card and allowing it to really soak in and seeing beyond what's just physically on the cards and really penetrating into the inner mysteries. So I have a lot of old journals and such about that, like what my experiences were with tapping, you know, the tarot cards to the third eye and all of those things. So you gain a lot of wisdom from the tarot, though. I'm sure everyone who's watching this video is familiar with the tarot cards, but what they are, essentially, it's an archetypal map of who we are in our totality. It is also the path of initiation through the cards. So the cards represent a journey. They represent the journey of self towards, you know, really godhood, or what godhood is like self-discovery. It's being wholly, holistic, understanding all the aspects and components of self. So with this third card, let me see, what time is it? I'm not really sure what time it is, but I know that I won't be able to go too much longer on this video. We're at almost 15 minutes now. So yeah, I will work on getting some notes compiled for the Masonic Magician book, the Cagliostro book, and I'm going to continue doing research as I have always done. I'm taking a short break from the book. I'm not sure when I'm going to jump back into that. The last chapter that I finished, the Master Mason chapter, that was a really tough chapter to put together and compile, so it took a lot out of me intellectually, I think. So I just need to recharge, and I've pretty much written a lot of the next chapter, so I'm just going to have to go through, see if there's anything that needs added when I'm ready, and then just kind of go through and edit it and make sure that it's okay to be ready for audiobook. So those of you who are interested in this type of stuff, the Freemasonry, type information, knowledge, and ceremonial magic, if those are two topics of interest for you, I have a book entitled Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic, and that is a part of my Patreon. I will put the link for the Patreon in this video, and I have the link in other videos as well. For the first 7 chapters and the prologue, it's $5, and you get an instructional video on the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram. And then for $10, you get chapter 8 as well, the Master Mason. And then there's more chapters I'm going to be putting into that tier. Would also like to do some videos for the tier as well. But with Patreon, I don't seem to be able to upload videos longer than 5 minutes at a time, so I'd have to do it in segments when I do get prepared for that. So let's continue with the tarot. Like I said, I'm not sure how long this video is going to go for, but I'll just keep trucking along. Card 3, the Empress. So let's talk about some of the symbolism of this card. She's in the woods, so it's a very fruitful card. I get a lot of bountiful abundance type energy from this card. It's the 3, so it's the Trinity energy. The 3 has a multitude of symbolism. We talk about the symbolism of 3 on this channel all the time. So she's kind of just sitting there in the woods. She's got her wand, she's got her crown. So she's almost like a goddess of the woods, it seems like. We have the sign, I believe this is the female sign, but it's also the sign for Venus, if I'm not mistaken. So this card has a lot of Venusian type energy. I believe that's Venus anyway. That would make sense for this card. And the fact that it's green, because Netzach and Archangel Hanael are associated with Venus, and that's the green sphere on the Tree of Life. So that would make a lot of sense. So it seems to me there's a lot of, she's wearing what seems to be almost like strawberries on her dress. So this card has a lot of Mother Earth type energy and a lot of goddess type energy and grounded type energy, but she also carries the wand. So there's some magical power going on here. The wand is a phallic symbol of sorts. As far as what this card really further represents, let me see if I can... what does the packet have to say? That's about as far as I can go with the symbolism just from my own knowledge, other than, experiencing the energy of the card itself from an internal gnosis perspective. Fruitfulness, initiative, action. So yeah, just all of these positive, things. Fruitfulness mostly. It also says, in a lot of these cards, they have dual meanings. So it also represents clandestine, which is secret. That's kind of strange. Maybe because she's just out in the woods. The unknown, difficulty, doubt, and ignorance. Reversed, light, truth, the unraveling of involved matters. Interesting. So yeah, all these cards have reversed meanings too, and they all have dualistic meanings. So quote unquote positive qualities and quote unquote negative qualities. At the end of the day, it's really about what the card represents to you, and it's going to represent something a little bit different to you each time, depending on what your circumstances are, and what you're going through at the time. When I would do readings for people, I would do, it's a 7-card layout. So you have a pyramid at the bottom, which is the more material aspects of the reading. Then you have a triangle above, a downward pointing triangle. So you've kind of got the chalice type energy going on, the arrow pointing down, the arrow pointing up, the spiritual influences, the material influences, and then your final outcome card is in the middle. I talk about that in my earlier videos, like my 2nd or 3rd video on this YouTube channel. going back into Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic. So that's where I learned that layout from. And whenever you're asking the cards for something, you don't ask them, should I do something? You ask, what will happen if I pursue this course? See what the cards have to say about you doing a particular operation or pursuing a certain course. But ultimately, the choice is still up to you. You obviously have free will. That's why I like to see all of these things at tarot and astrology and all of these things. These are just tools. They're tools to help us better understand ourselves, and they shouldn't like govern or dictate our lives. They should just be exactly that, like helpful tools for us to learn and grow. So the Emperor is the next card, number 4. And for me, this card just really represents strength. It represents authority. He's sitting straight up on the throne, erect posture. Both his feet are planted on the ground, so it's stability. It's grounding type energy. Looks like you have almost like these goats up here and up here, so there's almost like that Capricorn type energy. So there could be like some death symbolism or some wintry, darker, quote-unquote aspects going on, because Capricorn is one of the winter signs, so there could be some death symbolism here. Maybe it's the old man is passing on his wisdom. His staff, he has it's almost like a Tau cross. Not exactly, but very similar. So you've got that energy again, that masculine phallic energy. He's holding his staff. He's sitting sure and firm in his authority. Looks like he's got something circular in his hand over here too. I'm not really sure what that is. I wish the screen would get clearer for you. There we go. If I tap the screen, that's weird. Okay, it zooms in on the card a little bit better. But yeah, something circular in his hand here. All this goat symbolism around the throne, Capricornish, very earthy type energy. Almost reminds me of like a senior warden in a Masonic lodge too. So, yep, very patriarchal type energy. So like sacred masculine type energy, almost like a harsh, but harsh in the way that it's like trying to teach you something, not trying to belittle or demean you. Stability, power, aid, protection, a great person, conviction, and reason. Yes, reasoning type energy. He's very convicted. He's very assured in what it is that he wants to do. So all of those things would be, symbolism correlated with that card. Next, we have the Hierophant, card number 5. Oh yeah, and the fact that, going back to the Emperor, the number 4 itself is a very square number. It's an even number. It's the 4 corners. It's stability. It's foundation. So wanted to add that in there as well. The number 4 has a lot of foundational symbolism. Could represent like a strong fatherhood type figure in the family. Maybe somebody who helps keep the energies together or in line, so to speak. Next, we have the Hierophant card. Card number 5. We know that the card, or we know that the number 5 is, of course, equated with the pentagram, or that star energy, 5 points. This staff right here in this card is very interesting. It's got 3 lines on it going up, and I've seen a symbol similar to that, those 3 lines in a Rush album, Clockwork Angels. They have a lot of interesting symbolism in that album. That's a great album and a great story. There's a novel written about it too, a fiction novel. So this person I just see as a very authoritative figure. This is like a spiritual, hierarchical person within a mystery school. In the Golden Dawn, the Hierophant, I don't know if it's Hierophant or Hierophant, what the proper pronunciation for this word would be. But that would be the equivalent of like a worshipful master in a Masonic lodge. The leader of the meetings, the main officer. Lots of cross symbolism on here. You've got, these crosses. And then on the shoes as well. There's the keys laid at the feet. So the keeper of secrets. The one who conceals, maybe. The one who keeps things secret. And here's some like initiates. These might be like the deacons or the stewards or something of that nature, like of the lodge, or maybe initiates coming to seek light, to seek knowledge. So this is really like, this person represents an arcana of wisdom, very much similar to like what we saw in the High Priestess symbology. So the keeper of the mysteries. Let's see what this, and the Hierophant is between the two pillars as well. Of course, we see that symbolism once again. Marriage, alliance, captivity, servitude, mercy and goodness, inspiration, the man to whom the querent has recourse. So that's what the little, this is just the tarot deck little card that comes with the descriptions. So marriage, interesting. Could be like the alchemical marriage, in a way, the marriage of the divine masculine and feminine. Of course, all of those sorts of things. So yeah, I think that covers the symbolism of that. Just a little bit. And remember, there's so much more to these cards. I mean, these guys, I'm just giving you a brief introduction to this stuff. This takes years of studying and learning, and these are just small little tidbits that I've, picked up over time. So I could probably do an entire video series on the tarot cards if I wanted to, get to study them and work with them a little bit more. As I said, I don't really work with the tarot as much as I used to. It used to be an everyday thing for me to work with the tarot cards. Card number 6, the Lovers. 6 is the number of man, the number of physicality. So that's interesting symbolism right away. I think this angel is actually supposed to be Gabriel? Or no, it's Raphael, I think. I believe so. Is what I read in a book lately. There's a chapter on Raphael, and it talked about that. But it could just be considered almost like I guess that wouldn't be a cherubim. The cherubim guard the entrance to the Garden of Eden with the flaming swords. But this is a pretty involved card, the symbolism. You've got the solar energy up here, the divine masculine energy. It really just represents divinity in this card, I think. And then you have Archangel Raphael, or whichever angel this is supposed to be. Would make sense, I think, because in Paradise Lost, I believe, or one of the, is it the Book of Enoch? Yeah, it's the Book of Enoch, where Raphael talks to Adam in the Garden of Eden. So that would really fit with this card. You've got Adam and Eve, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, fire, earthy, more earthy. On this side, you've got the apples and the serpent, of course. We don't really need to go into that story. We've talked about the serpent in detail on this channel. If you want to know which videos to go to learn about that, probably the videos on Lucifer, Satan, and the devil symbolism. We get into the book Kabbalah, Qliphoth, and Goetic Magic. We learn more about the esoteric meaning of the serpent, that the Messiah and the serpent are really one too. So a lot of Jesus symbolism, people think serpents are evil, quote unquote evil. Even St. Patrick, I guess, there was the story where he killed all the snakes in Ireland or whatever. So we see very different viewpoints on serpents. One is very like serpents are really benevolent and they embody wisdom, and Christ even said, be ye like serpents. But then there's the whole quote unquote devil, or Samael, being the serpent trying to tempt mankind with divine knowledge and wisdom, which causes him to fall further, but he has to fall to like learn that type of knowledge, So it's not all about good and evil. It's about different degrees of existence. Getting off track a little bit. But these flames on this tree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the number 12, the zodiac. Yep. 12 has numerous symbolism, but of course it always brings to mind the zodiac. There's like a mountain or a pinnacle in the background. So really, it's a card of like, it seems to be a card of unity, alchemical wedding, alchemical marriage, of bringing, you know, of mending maybe any discordal type energy, and bringing peace and harmony to a situation. So that's kind of, you know, what I see in this card overall. Let's see what the book says. Attraction, love, beauty, trials overcome. And then if it's reversed, of course, it means kind of the opposite, failure or foolish designs. So yeah, it's a card of union, love, beauty, all of these things. The solar energy, once again, that Tippereth type energy, and that would really make sense if this archangel was Raphael. So that would really fit into the theme of the card. Seven, the Chariot. And 7 has numerous symbology. The 7 chakras, the 7 churches, so many different correlations with the number 7, the 7 steps, the 7 liberal arts and sciences, all of those sorts of things. It's a very sacred number. This has always been a card to me symbolizing overcoming obstacles, being strong, being powerful, and being strong even in the face of trial or adversity, and being able to overcome those things. He's the one controlling the chariot. He's the one that's governing the dualistic principles, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. And once again, they've got this on the left and this on the right, and I would have them reversed when I'm working with the pillars and looking at them. That's how I see them. Of course, we got more. What is that? That almost looks like one of those toys you spin, a dreidel. Is that what that is? This is like very Egyptian looking right here. Solar energy. What's the scarab? The beetle is oftentimes seen in a kind of a representation like that. He's even got like symbols on his belt and on his skirt. Looks like maybe some zodiacal emblems or something else. I'm not sure what that is. The breastplate almost reminds me of the breastplate of Moses. It doesn't have all the different metals on it, but it does have that white square right there. So he's got the breastplate. He's got the armor of God on, you know, the armor of Source as he's overcoming. And sometimes this card represents that you have overcome obstacles. Sometimes it can represent that you are going to go into adversity or face adversity. And then he's got the kingdom behind him. So he's moving away from the kingdom. He's controls the kingdom of self. He controls the dualistic principles within himself and has wed them and has merged them and has processed, you know, his emotions, and in the process of doing so has governed them. And now he's moved up to the celestial realms. He's got the stars. He's up here with the stars. He's overcome all of these things. So I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. He's got an 8-rayed star on his crown with some other rays pointing out here, like 4 rays you can see outside of that on the sides here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers most of what that card represents, the theme of it. Succor, providence, also war, triumph. It can mean vengeance or trouble. Interesting. But yeah, very much a card of overcoming and a card of strength and willpower and being able to rise above, essentially, is what I see that card representing. So, all right, everyone, I think I am going to go ahead and end the video here. If you would like me to cover the rest of the major arcana of the tarot cards, let me know. This actually ended up being kind of fun. I just spontaneously decided to do this instead because I wasn't quite ready to cover the book yet. I've got to get myself together a little bit more for that. So So yeah, everyone, I also got a new patron as well. I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head, and I cannot. I don't think it'll let me close out of this window, will it?